My Little Pony, the land of cute cartoon horses with skills and talents that are reflected on their cutie marks. Can the fan base be a little weird? Of course. But is it fun nonetheless to see what random creations are out there in the world? Definitely. And I feel like I should be embarrassed to admit this next part, but hey, I have no shame nowadays. I was a big fan of The Bride of Discord when I was younger, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically a Beauty and the Beast inspired story with Fluttershy and Discord that you can find on the channel Disney Fanatic 2364. And listen, before you start judging me, I really liked this ship when I was younger, and yes, I rewatched the series like 100 times. I'm not a brony, I swear. I just get invested in things too easily, and I don't care about all the non-canon stuff in this series because I still think it's fun, and I choose to ignore the weird moments and let nostalgia take over my judgment. Plus, there's charming voice acting and art, which is one of the main reasons why I keep coming back to this project. So let me enjoy it, okay? With that being said, that series is obviously the topic of today's video, and I'll be summarizing the story while also giving my random thoughts here and there. If you were hoping for something involving horror, I promise to at some point cover the My Little Pony infection AU in the future, so please leave a comment of your favorite recommendations. But anyways, let's just focus on something more wholesome, and if you're ready to jump into the story, sit back, relax, grab some cotton candy and some chocolate milk, and as always, my name is Deepest today. Let's explore. Bride of Discord. The story first begins with a monologue from Twilight explaining the history of Discord, which I think background information is important. So, a long time ago, Discord was turned into stone by two Alicorn sisters, Luna and Celestia. However, because of some shenanigans with elements of harmony and the lack of connection to that power, Discord was able to break free thousands of years later, and he caused chaos for all the ponies in Equestria. In response, Twilight and her friends fought against his chaos and won, but it turns out that's just the story that they tell everyone. In reality, it turns out they didn't actually defeat him. This is when we get a flashback showing the group of friends celebrating their victory before eventually realizing that Discord's statue wasn't there and that he's clearly missing, which obviously caused panic. By the way, for those who are uncultured, this series switches between multiple artists, so the visuals won't be the same for each scene. Some people don't like this, however, I personally enjoy this aspect because I love seeing multiple art styles. It spices up the visuals and it makes me excited to see what creative liberties these artists will take. So no complaining, just vibe. Now back to the ponies, they were scared of the thought that they potentially killed him, but eventually calmed down because Twilight, the voice of reason, explained that the elements of harmony don't destroy, so obviously he's not dead. They even get confirmation from Princess Celestia once they go to meet with her, and when asked what happened to Discord, Celestia said nothing, because he managed to get away. She knows him, so she explains that he's probably just hiding and he won't attack anytime soon because he needs to think of a plan. So all the ponies can do is wait for him to return, and they must have the elements of harmony always ready on hand. This is the end of the flashback, and we return back to Twilight's monologue in which she explains that they waited and waited, but he never appeared. 3 years have passed and they just assumed he was gone for good and they moved on with their lives, but of course, they were wrong. Boom, quick and simple setup to the story, and I'm already excited for the movie night we're having. Now, as mentioned before, it is 3 years into the future, and there's a special event coming up. It's the Grand Galloping Gala, and it was made clear that at this point during the story, Twilight is now an Alicorn, and she has royal duties that made her too busy to meet with her friends, but this gala gave the group an opportunity to finally get together, and they're all participating in some way to make this gala amazing. With that being said, all the ponies except for Rainbow Dash at the moment had a happy reunion, but there was an awkward moment in which Spike happily greeted Rarity, and Applejack's mood soured a bit because of it. More on this later, but just know that this is one of the few things in the series that I find questionable. Anyways, the princesses soon join the friends, and Applejack pitches the idea to bring some of the orphans from the orphanage to the gala so they can get out and have fun, which Celestia agrees to despite Luna's hesitance. This is also the moment where Shining Armor and Cadence reveal that they were having a baby, which brought the mood up. This was such a happy day full of smiles until we transition to a new scene later in the day, which involves Applejack stumbling across Fluttershy with the bird choir. Applejack asked Fluttershy if she was alright because she noticed that something seems to be bugging her, which Fluttershy tries to deny, but eventually she opens up about her nightmares and paranoia involving Discord. She can't seem to escape the constant torment of seeing him everywhere even when she's not asleep, and she knows it's been a long time and she shouldn't be stressed, but she can't shake off this feeling that he will return. And after admitting this, she couldn't hold back her tears, and in response, Applejack immediately started to comfort her by saying there's no way he'll come back. Well, speak of the devil, and he shall appear. The scene cuts away to where Discord is hiding, and he's talking to his reflection while feeling giddy about his plan to finally reveal himself to everyone now that he's put them all in a false sense of security. Discord is very confident with his plan, and the two laughed maniacally until he realized that it's kind of weird that he's talking to himself in the mirror. Now back to the gala planning. The princesses were helping with setting up the preparations until suddenly Spike barfed out a letter. In that letter, there was a crisis that required Celestia, Luna, and Cadence, and despite the gala being the next day, they decided to go though, because they can't just ignore a request for help. So Twilight is now in charge of everything while those three are away. It's a bit overwhelming, but she's trustworthy and her friends will help, of course. Speaking of which, everyone's excited to do their best to make this gala amazing. However, it was still apparent how down in the dumps Fluttershy was. The group even talked about how they can't remember the last time they've seen her genuinely smile, and Rarity points out the fact that there's many colts who would love to go out with her, but she rejects them all. Because of this, it makes the group sad that Discord is preventing her from living a peaceful and happy life, so they made it their mission to make her happy, and the first step was to make her sing at the gala. Sure, she's an introvert and shy, but she loves to sing, so hopefully she'll enjoy herself. So they brought this idea up to Fluttershy, and she was initially nervous, but eventually agreed. Now moving away from that to check on the princesses, they're on their way to give their assistance when suddenly they notice pink clouds in the sky, clouds that resemble cotton candy. This immediately rang the alarm bells, but before they could turn back, Discord appeared with a menacing laugh, and this is the cliffhanger to the first episode. Ooh la la! Now proceeding onwards to the second episode, it's the Grand Galloping Gala, and so far many of the party guests are a little irritated with seeing children there and hearing Pinkie Pie singing children's songs, but she soon stops once Rainbow Dash makes her grand entrance with the Wonderbolts, which she's a part of. All the friends are happy to see each other, and even the Cutie Mark Crusaders make an appearance, showing off their cutie marks, which ignore the fact that they're different from the ones in the show. Again, there's a lot of non-canon stuff because this is kind of old. Anyways, Spike then tries to ask Rarity for a dance but gets brushed aside, and Applejack offers him a dance, but he misunderstood her words and thought Applejack offered to ask Rarity on his behalf if she wanted to dance with him. Awkward. Anyways, moving on from that double rejection, it's almost time for Fluttershy's performance, but she's nowhere in sight, so the group needs to find her. Luckily, Rainbow Dash found her outside in the garden, singing to herself, and she admits to feeling doubtful and is still worried about Discord, but after a bit of comforting, she gains a bit of courage and was ready to perform. So returning back to the gala, everyone is waiting for the performance, and unexpectedly, we see Discord in disguise. He was bored out of his mind, only finding entertainment by causing sneaky pranks, but once Fluttershy got on stage and he saw her beauty, he was stunned and speechless, but he eventually snapped out of it, saying it was a momentary lapse, and soon after Fluttershy begins to sing. However, it was apparent that her nerves were getting to her, so the Cutie Mark Crusaders joined in to help her, and she gained a lot of confidence with their support, and she seemed to actually enjoy herself while on stage. By the way, did I forget to mention that this series has songs? It's My Little Pony, come on, what did you expect? Anyways, this charming moment soon gets interrupted by Discord once he finally reveals himself, and he immediately grabbed Fluttershy and began to dance with her on stage in order to taunt everyone. Ooh, this is the monster romance I signed up for. Anyways, she's of course scared, but Rainbow Dash quickly comes to the rescue and Twilight demands answers. This is when they all had a bit of a back and forth in which Discord was just constantly taunting the group, teasing Fluttershy, taking away Twilight's horn so she can't use her magic, and finally he admits to having the princesses hostage, so if they tried to stop him, it will only put the princesses' lives, including Cadence's daughter, in danger. With that, he vanishes, and the chocolate rain storm outside became more intense. This triggered a mass panic from the party guests, so the group of friends had to immediately jump into action, and this was the conclusion to the second episode. Now listen, I'm not a furry, but low-key Discord is on my list of hear me outs when I was younger, and when I saw him pick up Fluttershy, it kind of awoke something in me. Obviously, I know that action is a little creepy now, because, you know, respect personal space. But, yeah, I don't have an excuse. Let's next episode. It begins with Discord wreaking havoc on the ponies of Equestria until he stumbled across a couple having a picnic. It was Big Mac and Miss Cheryl Lee, and at first Discord didn't do anything until a shoulder devil pushed him to ruin their date, which he attempted, but he kept failing. No matter what he threw at them, they were still in love and having fun. This both irritated and saddened Discord, but there was no time for moping. Instead, it's time to move on to the next step of his plan. With that, we return back to the main ponies, who found shelter for everyone at the gala, but besides that, things aren't looking too good. Morale is low and finding a solution is tough. But the Cutie Mark Crusaders suggested having Fluttershy give Discord the Stare, which is a powerful ability she has that basically controls animals. However, who knows how effective that will be on a being like Discord. Speaking of Discord, he makes his grand entrance, and with his opportunity, Fluttershy did attempt to use her Stare as suggested, but it didn't work and Discord continued to tease and taunt before finally telling the ponies why he's there. He wants to make a deal with the group, and at first they wanted to reject the idea, but eventually eventually they decided to hear him out because they are kind of desperate. So Discord offers to return Twilight's horn in exchange for having the main six never use their elements of harmony against him, and he also offers to stop causing chaos to everyone if he's given a space that he can live in freely. Additionally, Discord promises that if he goes back on his word, the main six can use their elements against him, and if they go back on their word, he can attack them right back. These were pretty reasonable demands, so they agree to this deal, and as for what he wants in exchange for all the princesses' safe return, it turns out he didn't have anything in mind, so it took him a moment to think of something, and when he was insulted about his looks and lack of anyone finding him attractive, he decided that what he wants in exchange was a bride. To be more specific, he wants someone to willingly marry him, so the chosen pony can't be bribed or forced into the exchange. This trade seemed too outlandish for the group of ponies, so Discord suggested that one of them could easily volunteer to play that role, and he looks towards Fluttershy when saying that. However, this provoked an angry response from their friends, so Discord decided to give the ponies some time to think and left, but first he told them where they could find him, and boom, he teleports back to his cave, and he uses this opportunity to gloat at the princesses while also explaining to them what's going on. He explains to them the deal that he offered, and the thought of Discord having and wanting a bride made Luna laugh because who would want to marry him, but Discord isn't going to let her sour his mood. And after some time, the main six soon arrived at the cave, to which Discord hid away the princesses before they could be seen, and Twilight tells Discord that they agreed to his terms to not use their elements against him, and they offered him a space in the Everfree forest where he can freely spread his chaos. As for his bride, they haven't found a pony, and they actually wanted to renegotiate, but Discord was firm on his stance, and then he teleports away so he can make himself at home in the Everfree forest. Oof. Now, obviously the main six don't want an innocent pony to be given to Discord, so they started to think about self-sacrifice. Each of the girls started to suggest that maybe they should be the one to volunteer, but every time someone speaks up, one of the other friends argued that they have people and responsibilities that they can't just leave behind. Their arguing seems to be going nowhere, and what makes things worse is that they realize that without Celestia and Luna, the sun and the moon can't rise in the sky, which is obviously bad. All of this is pretty stressful, so they decided to call it a night and to continue the discussion the next day, and noticeably, Fluttershy is extremely quiet and off to the side during the whole conversation. She didn't volunteer herself like the others, but she's clearly thinking about something. Anyways, everyone went to bed, and that night, Fluttershy had a nightmare about Discord, which obviously woke her up, and being unable to sleep again, she decided to go for a late-night snack in which she accidentally ran into Applejack. So together they ate apples and talked, and during their chat, Fluttershy made Applejack keep a secret which involves her thoughts about becoming Discord's bride. This of course made Applejack panic because Fluttershy shouldn't be the one to suffer that fate. However, Fluttershy argues that no matter what choice she makes in life, she'll never be happy, so she might as well sacrifice herself. This caught Applejack off guard, so in hopes to convince Fluttershy otherwise, she decided to take her somewhere, and in the following episode, the place that she took her was to Sakura's hut. And if you don't know who Sakura is, she's really cool and speaks in rhymes. Anyways, it turns out this visit had the opposite effect Applejack was hoping for because Sakura actually encouraged Fluttershy that taking this path might lead her to happiness in the future. This response made Applejack angry and she tries to argue, but then Sakura clocks her crush on Spike, and that made Applejack storm off with Fluttershy. What a productive visit. Anyways, while returning home, they accidentally stumbled across Discord's home, and Applejack used this to try and convince Fluttershy to not go because it would be insane, but she already had her mind set, so Applejack had no choice but to reluctantly accept and keep Fluttershy's secret. However, she tells Fluttershy to still sleep on it, and in the morning if she decides to go, she can, but Applejack will tell the others where she went, so they don't worry about her suddenly vanishing, and Fluttershy agrees. Applejack also tells Fluttershy that she is the bravest pony she knows, which was encouraging, and with that resolved, Fluttershy then asked Applejack to spill the tea about her little crush on Spike, which I'm just going to brush past that, and the two soon went their separate ways and went to bed once at the castle. And while sleeping, Fluttershy once again gets a nightmare about Discord, but instead of intimidating her, it further enforced her decision to go. So in the early morning, she went straight to the cave where Discord once took shelter in, and she called out to him to appear, which he did, and when he discovered that she came to him to become his bride, he was of course caught off guard and didn't initially believe it, but then he excitedly accepted her and pulled out a ring. But before he could whisk her away, the others arrived. You see, earlier they found out about Fluttershy's plan because Applejack told them once they discovered that Fluttershy was missing, and of course they didn't want Fluttershy to go, so they ran to the cave to stop her, but again, Fluttershy was adamant on going. So respecting her decision, they reluctantly had a tearful goodbye with Fluttershy, and when she was teleported away, the princesses appeared soon after in front of the crying group, and they were obviously confused about what just happened. Now following after Fluttershy, we see her get taken to Discord's home and get shown her new surroundings, which will now be her home, and it makes her a bit dizzy party, and the shock of the day's events didn't help either because she ended up passing out, which Discord found adorable. He also started to give Fluttershy the nickname his queen, and that's the conclusion to this video. Spicy. Moving on to the next episode, Fluttershy wakes up from her nap and it quickly sinks in that Discord is her fiancé and screaming his name made him appear. He then started to happily explain to her that he made her a room, but that will be a temporary accommodation until the wedding. And when is the wedding? Apparently he wants it to be the following day, and he starts putting multiple wedding dresses on Fluttershy to see which one would be the perfect fit. And once he found the perfect one, he gave her many compliments, but she quickly stopped him and questioned the choice of having the wedding so soon. She'll still marry him, of course, but she wants more time. In response, Discord said why he would listen to her, and Fluttershy fought back by saying that a while back, he promised her that he would give her anything she desired, and she desires to have the wedding postpone. Girl boss. Real quick, I just gotta say, I love seeing these sassy moments with Fluttershy. I don't know why, it's just so satisfying. Anyways, Discord reluctantly agreed to Fluttershy wanting to get to know each other first, and the new date for their wedding will be determined by one thing. Each night he will ask Fluttershy a question, and when he gets the answer he wants, that will be their wedding day. And what is that question? Well, first they had dinner, which was honestly awkward, and Discord really sucks at boundaries. He's up in her personal space, and she clearly isn't a fan of all these compliments he's giving her, but he's relentless. Anyways, he also admits that he's kind of glad that she was the one to take his deal because he was low-key a stalker, and focused a lot on her. Technically, he focused on all of the friends, but he especially found Fluttershy interesting. So with her by his side, he has a beautiful queen that he can rule with. In response, Fluttershy tosses away the crown that he gave her, and she says that she wants to go to bed, but before she goes, it's time for him to ask that question. He asks Fluttershy if she loves him, to which she says no, and that was expected, and he states that the answer he'll want in the future is a yes. The reason for this is because she stated that she wants to fall in love before getting married, so once she falls in love with him, he believes it's natural for them to get married then and there. With that, he took her to her room, which luckily he made it normal for her, and inside were useful amenities like a microwave that can make any food and additional cool and comforting stuff. She was stunned by all the thought that he put into her room, and at first Discord thought her silence meant she hated it, but she quickly reassured him that the room was nice. Discord seemed pleased by this and soon left, but once he was gone, Fluttershy couldn't hold back the tears and wept into her pillow. Damn, if I was ripped away from my loved ones, I would be crying too, so this is an understandable reaction. And I know this is obviously a very toxic dynamic because, I'm older and I guess smarter now. With that constant love bombing and stepping on boundaries? Ew. Anyways, Discord teleports into his room so he can talk to his reflection, and he confidently believes he'll succeed with getting Fluttershy to fall madly in love with him, and when he does, she will never use her element of harmony against him, and that will allow him to cause all the chaos he wants. In response, Discord's reflection believes this is the dumbest plan he's ever come up with because how can such a beautiful pony fall in love with someone like him? This was obviously insulting to Discord, and he had half a mind to break his mirror before realizing how stupid it is to argue with his reflection, and then he tries to boost his own confidence but ends up losing self-confidence. Tragic. Now stepping away from that and shifting to the friend group, tensions are high and they're feeling both sad and angry about what just happened with Fluttershy, and Luna wants to go against Discord, but Celestia said an agreement was made and it can't be broken or they'll be threatened by his chaos. Twilight then shares her regret for not being the one to step up because, as the one in charge, it should have been her responsibility to take on Discord, but Celestia reassures Twilight that this is what Fluttershy wanted and it was noble of her. It doesn't change the fact that the situation is scary for the friends, but Celestia is positive that Discord won't harm Fluttershy because he has an admiration for beautiful things and just maybe, he has the hots for her. So to verify how Fluttershy is being treated, Luna decided that she'll pay her a visit in her dreams. With that, the ponies went their separate ways, and under Twilight's breath, she tells herself that she'll find a way to rescue Fluttershy. Now dream time. Fluttershy is having yet again another nightmare involving Discord, but Luna soon appears and vanquishes the nightmare before apologizing to Fluttershy for not helping sooner. Luna then asks how Fluttershy is being treated and learns that no harm has come to her and that Discord, shockingly, has a desire to get Fluttershy to fall in love with him. Fluttershy then further explains their arrangement, and Luna shares her distaste for having an innocent soul like Fluttershy engaged to a beast like Discord. But Fluttershy gives Discord the benefit of the doubt and tells Luna the good things that he's done. Which, I will not lie, I find her arguing on Discord's behalf a little surprising because earlier she seemed not that happy with him. But then again, Fluttershy is too kind, so it makes sense that she only wants to focus on the good aspects and give Discord the benefit of the doubt, as I mentioned before. Anyways, the two couldn't talk any further because it seems like Fluttershy is waking up from her dream, so Luna had to go, and when Fluttershy woke up, unexpectedly Discord was there, and realizing he was caught watching her sleep, he quickly made the excuse that he's only there to get her for breakfast, and that he also has a gift for her. Speaking of gifts, this becomes a trend for the next upcoming days in which he showers her with all sorts of items while giving her so many compliments, but this didn't persuade Fluttershy one bit, and on each night he asked her if she loved him, she always answered no. Eventually, this constant rejection reached its boiling point, and the two had an argument when Fluttershy refused to leave her room, so Discord forced her outside with his magic and said the time for waiting is over and he will marry her the next day regardless of her loving him or not, to which she said she could never love a monster who's keeping her prisoner, and then she locks herself back in her room. In response, Discord said he didn't care because he'll get his way in the end, and before he could walk off in anger, he heard Fluttershy crying in her room, which instantly made him feel bad, and after reflecting a bit on his actions, he now wants to remedy the situation. So the first pony he thought of who could potentially help him was Sakura, since he's heard that she gives good advice. So he paid her a visit, which obviously surprised her, but she still gave him advice, and she had to flat out tell him that Fluttershy only responds positively to kindness. He must do something that would genuinely make her happy, specifically taking her interest in mind. So he took a moment to think about what she likes, and eventually he had an idea, then rushed off to execute his plan. And once he left, Sakura couldn't help but giggle because she knows what will happen next. And honestly, Sakura deserves a big thanks because she really plays a major role in all the good events that happened in the story. But more on this later. Anyways, Discord returned home with a surprise for Fluttershy, but first he apologizes to her while explaining that having a companion is new to him, so he doesn't know what to do or how to act. He also says that he's regretful for what he said and that they don't have to marry tomorrow. He just hopes Fluttershy will give him a second chance to make it up to her, which she does, and steps out of her room so Discord can show her the surprise that he had prepared. And this surprise was a garden with all her animals, including some new ones. It's basically the library scene from Beauty and the Beast, obviously. Now Fluttershy was at first stunned by this, but soon she rushed towards Discord to hug and thank him, then she flew off to play with the animals. In response to this, Discord was in awe that she hugged him, and he couldn't help but celebrate in his room once he teleported away. But he wasn't celebrating because he's getting a step closer to his evil plan. He was celebrating because he's genuinely happy that she's happy with him. It was honestly kind of cute. Now you might be wondering, he used his magic to get Fluttershy's animals to his place, but doesn't that break the rules of the deal he made with the other ponies, since his magic was on their territory? Well, we soon shift to a scene of Twilight tiredly doing research to find a way to save Fluttershy when she was alerted by Applejack and Spike about the animal situation, and there was a letter Discord left, clarifying the animal's whereabouts. So Twilight took a moment to think about their next action and chose to let it slide because it wasn't harmful and it was for Fluttershy, so the deal still holds. With that, we return back to Discord and Fluttershy, and Discord is admiring Fluttershy from afar like a lovesick puppy, which caught him off guard, and this causes Reflection and Shoulder Devil to start calling him pathetic and soft. Then unexpectedly, Discord developed a Shoulder Angel, which encouraged his interest, and the reason why it appeared is because Fluttershy's sweet nature seems to be affecting Discord. This caused all the clones to start arguing with each other, until eventually Discord had enough of them and pushed them off to the side so he could talk to Fluttershy. Specifically, they had a sweet picnic together, and noticeably Discord is down bad. As for Fluttershy, she's happy to be with her animals, but after realizing that there's a magic dome around the area trapping the animals inside with her, it made her a little sad. So to cheer her up, Discord gave her some carrot cake and explained the reason why he was watching her from afar. It's because he couldn't help but admire her beauty, which Fluttershy didn't really believe that sentiment, but Discord genuinely finds her alluring, which made Fluttershy a little happy and blush. Ooh la la. Discord then questions why she was so surprised by this compliment, to which Fluttershy was about to say something, but she soon stops herself, and this caught Discord's attention. Now he's curious about this potential secret, and he really wants to know, so he starts to tickle Fluttershy in hopes to get her to open up, and eventually she surrenders. However, it was a trick, and once he stopped tickling her, she started to tickle him in response. I obviously found this moment pretty adorable and charming because it shows that Fluttershy is now more willing to get close to Discord. Before, she probably would have been scared to touch him, but look at her tickling him! That's adorable. Anyways, that scene ends on a happy note, and then we transition to a scene with Applejack and Spike, which, okay, I'm just going to say this now. I'm sorry, but I really do not care about this side plot. I'm here for Discord and Fluttershy, not this random side romance. And it's just not my cup of tea because I just think it's a little weird. So I'm just going to skip past those moments, but I will say Applejack went to Sakura at some point, and she was told that Discord came to Sakura for advice, which made Applejack realize that Discord might actually be falling in love with Fluttershy. Whoa! Speaking of those two, we return back to them, and Fluttershy woke up from a nightmare by screaming, which instantly made Discord teleport to her side because he thought she was in danger, but after realizing it was just a nightmare, he relaxed. Fluttershy then asks for him to stay, but after realizing he was the reason for her nightmares, he thought it wouldn't be right for him to stay. However, Fluttershy reassures him by saying that he's nothing like the Discord from her nightmares, and she prefers him any day. So she wants him to stay, and so he does. But instead of being indoors, Discord took her up in the sky so they can get some fresh air and to watch the stars. They grew closer during this, and Discord used the stars to ask Fluttershy if she loves him, to which she didn't say yes, but she didn't say no, and instead said she could accept him as a friend, which was good enough for Discord. The two then went to bed on the clouds, and Fluttershy allowed Discord to play with her hair. Progress, my friends, progress. Now jumping to the morning, this was surprisingly the best sleep Fluttershy had in ages, which was great because it means she was well rested enough for all the dates Discord had planned for the day. They did ice skating, bowling, and other fun activities, which Fluttershy did enjoy, but there were moments when she remembered her friends, which soured her mood because obviously she misses them. So the only solution Discord had to help Fluttershy feel happy again was giving her a mirror that can magically show her her friends. This was better than nothing because she isn't allowed to leave, and once Discord left her alone, she started to watch her friends, but this seemed to have made things worse because each of her friends were obviously depressed that she's gone, and this made Fluttershy cry. And obviously, Discord could hear her crying, which was frustrating and sad for him to listen to because he thought he was doing everything right, and his reflection didn't make things better because it started to tell him that as the Lord of Chaos, he will make everyone around him miserable, which made Discord yell out in anger before breaking the mirror and crying on his knees. Then unexpectedly, his bedroom door gets opened, and stepping inside was Fluttershy, who wanted to check up on him. Discord tries to play it off as if he was fine, but Fluttershy knows otherwise and starts to comfort him. She tells him that she now realizes he only wanted a bride because he was lonely, and he tries to brush that thought aside, but then he admits it has been nice to have someone to talk to, and he especially is grateful that it was Fluttershy who came to him, to which she admits she's grateful too. But then Discord suddenly started to say that he wouldn't mind having Pinkie Pie or Celestia or Twilight be his bride instead, which caught Fluttershy off guard until Discord started to laugh and said it was a joke. He then started to tease Fluttershy about being jealous, which she tried to argue against while embarrassed, until Discord hugged and reassured her that she's the only one for him. How cute. Discord then teleports away so he could prepare their lunch outside, and once alone, Fluttershy couldn't help but realize something was happening. That something being her potential feelings for him that are now appearing? Ooh. Now, what I really enjoyed about this episode is seeing how much Discord has changed. His sadistic nature and mindset about only focusing on what he wants is slipping away, and he genuinely wants Fluttershy to be happy with him. The thought of ruling or ruining Equestria hasn't even crossed his mind once. Not only that, but his outburst against his mirror makes it that much more apparent how strong his feelings are if he gets angry at the thought of making Fluttershy miserable. He's really turning a new leaf. As for Fluttershy, she's starting to warm up a lot more to Discord, and instead of seeing him as a monster, she sees someone who just needs a friend. And by being that friend, she unlocks many of Discord's good aspects, which is amazing. And come on, even in the actual show, Fluttershy made Discord good. How can you not like this dynamic now that things are becoming a little less toxic? Well, she's still trapped, but let's touch on that later. Now, continuing with the story, the two are enjoying a lovely day outside, and they even had a deep conversation with each other. First, Discord shares his tragic backstory about losing his family and becoming an outcast, which was the cause behind him becoming evil, and Fluttershy said she could relate to the feeling of being lonely and getting picked on because the same happened to her when she was younger. This is when she finally shares the story behind why she can't handle compliments about her looks. It turns out a cult once asked her out, but it was only so he could laugh at her with his friends, and he admits to lying about calling her pretty because it was just to trick her into coming. As a result of this, Fluttershy finds it difficult to tell when someone is being genuine, and she rejects anyone who asks her out because she's scared and sad that what happened to her could potentially happen again. This made Discord obviously mad, and he quickly reassured her that she's beautiful and incredible, and unlike that cult, he isn't joking when he says that he's interested in her. However, she's still paranoid, so Discord promises her that he'll never mess with her emotions, which made Fluttershy grateful to have him as a friend. Damn, friend-zoned. Now time skip, Fluttershy is in her room watching her friends through their mirror when Discord arrived to ask her the question if she loves him, to which she couldn't even respond, and that just irritated Discord. He's getting really impatient, and this caused an argument that made Fluttershy admit it's hard to think of him that way when she's being treated as a prisoner, which is true, and we can't fault her for that. Discord then apologizes for his outburst, and then he thought of a compromise and suggested going out somewhere new for dinner, which Fluttershy seemed excited for because it will be a new scenery outside of the castle. So that night, the two got dressed up, looking very pretty, and Discord took Fluttershy to a beautiful spot in the forest with a gazebo. It was a charming date involving dinner and dancing, and Discord was was positive no one would catch them there. However, Luna unexpectedly stumbled across their date while flying. She had half a mind to tell the others he was breaking the rules of the deal, but instead she decided to watch from afar and observe before doing anything else. And while watching, she was surprised to see Fluttershy actually enjoying herself and seeing Discord act so soft and gentle. She didn't want to believe her eyes, but then she remembered that if she could change, why can't Discord? Maybe he is in love with Fluttershy and isn't using her. Maybe he is becoming better. Discord then broke out into song while dancing with Fluttershy, and at the end, the two decided to take a break at a nearby bench, which was actually too close to Luna's hiding spot, so she decided to leave, and now Discord and Fluttershy are alone again. And listen, Discord gets a kiss. Ooh, call me cringe, I don't care. Discord asked Fluttershy if he could kiss her, and she said yes. This isn't confirmation that she loves him, but it still makes me happy. Discord was so nervous, and the two never kissed anyone before, but they seem to have actually liked it. My heart is melting. Being a shipper is weird, please don't acknowledge me. Anyways, after a bit more dancing, the date soon ended and they returned home, but before going their separate ways, Fluttershy kissed Discord's cheek, then she retreated to her room to get some sleep. Progress. And in response, Discord happily celebrated in his room, which I find funny because if she was able to hear him break his mirror in the previous episode, does that mean she can hear him being happy? Food for thought. Anyways, the celebration doesn't last long because he ends up realizing that he's genuinely falling in love with Fluttershy, which was shocking to him, and when he tries to call out to his reflection or shoulder devil/angel, no one responded. But he didn't seem to mind because all he needs now is Fluttershy. With that, he goes to bed with a smile, and what could possibly go wrong from here? Buckle up. It's Fluttershy's birthday and Discord has a surprise for her. He promises to grant her any wish she wants after she blows her candles, and the wish she wants the most is to visit her friends, which Discord hesitated to grant until Fluttershy suggested that they could just come over instead. She also mentions that if no one can visit her, who else could be her bridesmaids, which immediately caught Discord's attention. Fluttershy then adds that if he finally allows her friends to visit, she will let him pick the wedding day and she won't argue. So Discord said the wedding will be the following day, which made Fluttershy nervous, but she agreed, and then Discord quickly got to work getting all of Fluttershy's friends over to his castle. It was a happy and unexpected reunion, and the friends of course bombarded Fluttershy with questions, but they soon gave her a break and started to enjoy the party. Fluttershy also tells Twilight there's no need for her to find a way to rescue her because she's fine staying, and that Discord now allows visitors, which made the group curious to know how Fluttershy achieved that deal, but she avoided answering the question and was more curious about what's going on with them. Then after a while, Fluttershy noticed Discord off to the side alone and asked him to join them, but he wasn't sure since the others don't like him, and he also asked her if she told them about their upcoming wedding. Fluttershy said no because she hasn't found the right time yet, and Discord suggested that she should tell them sooner than later. So Fluttershy first approached Applejack to tell her about the wedding, and when she said the wedding was tomorrow, it provoked an intense reaction from everyone. No one was happy except for Discord, so Fluttershy asked him to leave so she could talk to her friends in private, and Discord did teleport away, but he was still close by, eavesdropping. Of course, the others don't know that, so Fluttershy tells her friends how ashamed she is of their reactions and argues with them that Discord isn't a monster and just lonely and wanting someone to love him, which saying that made her pause, and Applejack then asked Fluttershy if she does love him, to which the others laughed, assuming it would be impossible for her to love him. But when they flat out asked her and she didn't immediately respond, they started to get angry and argue with her, and only Applejack was on her side. Eventually, their argument soon reaches its boiling point, and Fluttershy yells that it doesn't matter how she feels because she doesn't have a choice, and she just wanted to see her friends again, so who cares when the wedding will be? Then after one more push, she yells that she doesn't love him, but she said that through tears, and then she ran away to her room, and this made Applejack give everyone a lecture before storming off too. Back to Fluttershy, she's crying in her bed while feeling regretful about what she said, when suddenly Discord appeared, and damn, this next part is tough, specifically the implications. So as we know, Discord overheard everything, including the part when Fluttershy said she doesn't love him. In response, she tries to defend herself, but their argument only confirms in Discord's head that Fluttershy doesn't care about him, and he was also insulted by the claim that he was planning to kill the princesses when he held them hostage because that would be too low even for him. Then eventually, he got a twisted idea. With this idea, he proceeded to manipulate Fluttershy with sweet words, and then he started to hypnotize her, making her obedient to him against her own will. Basically, consent is out the window. This was icky, toxic, and painful to watch. He was doing so well being good, but that moment of despair and rejection pushed him over the edge and all his progress is gone. And now he's just going back to how he acted before. Rainbow Dash soon entered the room to check on Fluttershy and immediately caught Discord hypnotizing her, which in turn made everyone realize what he was doing. And they tried to fight against him, but he used his magic to stop them from interfering, and Applejack tried to reason with Discord, saying this isn't right and that Fluttershy would never love him if it continues like this, but Discord isn't listening and he proceeded to turn her into a cereal box. In response, Apple Bloom retaliated by biting Discord's leg, but this was a bad choice because he soon flew up high and made her let go, which caused her to start plummeting. But luckily, her screams seemed to have made Fluttershy snap out of her trance, and she rushed over to save her before she hit the ground. And now that she's herself again, she can see what Discord has done to her and her friends, which confirms to her that Discord indeed is a monster. And since he's seen as a monster, that's what it'll be, and Discord soon restrains Fluttershy and goes completely yandere mode here. He wants her to himself as his queen, and he even sings about his obsession and threatens the lives of Fluttershy's friends until she agrees to be his. So Fluttershy surrenders and promised to never fight against him if it means the others will be safe. This pleased Discord, but he wanted some extra confirmation, so he asked for a kiss, which, Discord, you're being such a creep. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. I'm acting like I haven't watched this a million times. I know how this is gonna end. I need to chill. Anyways, Fluttershy agrees, but before she could kiss him, Rainbow Dash managed to escape from her restraints and tries to charge at Discord, which irritated him, and he got ready to attack her back, but Fluttershy intersected and pushed Rainbow Dash away, which meant she got hit instead by Discord. And let me tell you, that hurt my soul to watch. As for how Discord reacted, he was obviously surprised, horrified, and regretful. He immediately apologized, but the damage has been done, and he started to break down after seeing her on the floor in pain and clearly scared of him. So he soon steps away and reverted everything back to normal, and he told everyone to get out. So they started to run, and it turns out Discord also means Fluttershy too. He took back his ring, promised to return her animals, and when she tried to talk to him, he just yelled at her to go before he changed his mind. So she left with the others, and Discord watched in tears from the castle as the storm outside grew more intense. Wow, what a roller coaster, but we're not done yet. The final episode. The main six, including the princesses, were having dinner together, and noticeably Fluttershy has a lack of appetite and is barely contributing to the conversation. Not only that, but she can't help but remember Discord whenever someone says something that reminds her of him. It made her immediately leave the table to get some space away from everyone, and when Fluttershy was gone, the group had to explain to the princesses that she's been acting off lately since Discord let her go. They also went into more detail about what happened that day, and because the deal is technically broken, a concern was raised by the princesses that Discord would wreak havoc again. However, time has passed since that incident, and he clearly hasn't done anything. The group also mentioned how surprised they were to see Discord so worried about Fluttershy after he accidentally attacked her, because why would he care? And this provoked an angry response from Applejack because obviously she can tell that Discord loves Fluttershy, and the others just refuse to acknowledge it. This made Applejack storm off, and Spike chase after her in hopes to get answers, but fails to understand. Now, cutting away from that, what is Discord up to? He's picking petals off of a flower to figure out if Fluttershy loves him or not, which only just made him sadder. And eventually his reflection in the lake appeared to lecture and argue with him. However, Discord was too depressed to even think about seeking vengeance or spreading chaos. He loves Fluttershy too much, and despite wanting her back desperately, he knows that if you truly love something, you set it free, and that's what he did. Even if it pains him, he doesn't want to bring any more pain to the pony he loves, and he's sure that she'll eventually forget about him. But once we transition to a scene of Fluttershy singing to herself, clearly she hasn't forgotten him, and her thoughts seem to be consumed by him. And once she goes to bed for the night, she had a nightmare involving Discord, but it was different from the previous ones. Instead of Discord being this monstrous threat that's tormenting her, he's dying. This made Fluttershy panic because he's immortal. He shouldn't be dying, yet he vanished in her arms, which made her scream out his name. But once Luna appeared and confirmed that it was a dream, it made Fluttershy relax the tiniest bit. Luna then flat out asked Fluttershy what is she doing and why hasn't she gone back to Discord, to which Fluttershy said that he doesn't want her there. However, Luna believes otherwise because she saw them that night during their date, and there was a spark. Discord doesn't look at any other pony the way he looks at Fluttershy, and Luna tells Fluttershy that she believes Discord let her go not because he doesn't want her, but because his feelings are too strong. Luna then tells Fluttershy to follow her heart, and this is when Fluttershy abruptly woke up, and not being able to fall asleep again, she steps out of her room to get some air, and unexpectedly she runs into Applejack. Deja vu moment. Applejack immediately realizes that Fluttershy can't sleep because she's having a dream involving Discord again, so the two went to get a snack and talk. Their discussion was how it was like to live with Discord for the past month, month, and Fluttershy admits to being scared at first, but as time progressed, she's gotten really close to Discord. He was no longer a monster in her eyes, but someone who was gentle and kind. He really changed during their time together, and this affected how Fluttershy feels towards him. She can't help but miss him, and she knows that it's wrong to feel this way, but she can't help it. Applejack then tells Fluttershy that clearly she's in love with Discord. However, Fluttershy tries to argue against this by saying that maybe it's just pity or guilt that she's feeling. However, once Applejack compares her feelings for Spike with Fluttershy's situation, it made Fluttershy realize that she indeed does love Discord and she desperately wants to return back to him. And when Fluttershy screams out that she loves him, it turns out that the other ponies were eavesdropping. In response, they were shocked and a little appalled, but they can see Fluttershy's determination, and because they don't want her to go into the Everfree forest alone, due to how dangerous it is, they decided to go with her as support. And the reason why Fluttershy wants to go as soon as possible, despite it still being night out, is because every second she's away from Discord, the lonelier he gets, so she puts her fears aside and marches forward. Sadly, that was a stupid idea because Timberwolves started to attack the group, which made everyone separate, and there was a lot of injuries due to the chaos. Luckily, Discord managed to hear Fluttershy scream, so he came to the rescue and turned all the Timberwolves into Chihuahuas. Fluttershy then happily hugged him now that they reunited, and he soon teleported everyone to his castle so he can assess the damage and to fix their injuries. Once everything was resolved, Fluttershy then took Discord off to the side so they can talk in private, and she first apologized to him for what she said, to which he stopped her because he's done far worse to her, but Fluttershy doesn't want to focus on that, and then she admits to missing him. She then asks the question, "Do you love me?" The reason why she asked this is because she wanted to know if Discord was just using her, or if he saw their time together as a game, to which Discord pours his heart out, admitting that he loves her so much, more than chaos itself, and that he's become a better person because of her, and he would rather die 1,000 deaths than see her unhappy, which is why he let her go. Fluttershy then cuts him off and explains how happy he's made her, and how much she's grown with him. Before, she was scared of everything, but spending time with him made her open up, and she gained a lot of courage. She also admits that the reason why it became so difficult for her to answer his love question is because she wasn't sure how she felt, but now she realizes that she misses him and that she wants to be with him, and then she tells him that she loves him. Victory. Discord was of course caught off guard because does she seriously love a beast like him? To which she says that she doesn't care what he looks like, and they share a sweet kiss with fireworks and everything. So when's the wedding? Well, this is when we get a time skip 1 year into the future, and it is in fact their wedding day. But unexpectedly, Discord seems to be having cold feet, so Applejack had to give him a pep talk, and when he realized how hopelessly in love he is, and how he wants nothing more but to spend his life with Fluttershy, he got ready for his wedding. But there was still some doubtful thoughts because is it really okay for him to marry a pony so beautiful when he looks like that? But after seeing Fluttershy, his worries melted away and he was just happy to be with the pony he loves, and they said their I do's. The scene then transitions to the after party in which everyone is enjoying themselves and Sakura makes a special appearance, to which both Fluttershy and Discord thanked her, and this is the moment when they both realize that they went to her for advice, meaning that she's the reason for why everything went on the right path. Sakura was really playing matchmaker, huh? Anyways, they soon hopped into their carriage to go on to their honeymoon, and it was happily ever after, at least until the sequel, but that's a topic for another day. Woo, what a story! Let's now move on to the conclusion. Conclusion. I was a very weird kid when I was younger, so it shouldn't be surprising that this is something I watched. And if it wasn't obvious, I hold this series close and dear to my heart because of the amount of nostalgia it gives me. It may not be a masterpiece, but it's special in my eyes. It provokes a lot of happy emotions out of me, and whenever I feel like unlocking my inner child, this is one of the first things I go to. I'm also going to say this right now, the sequel, Daughter of Discord, is also another one of my favorites. If you're a fan of My Little Pony, I highly recommend watching the series yourself. Sure, me summarizing is good and all, but it's not the same as watching it. The voice acting, the editing, the sound design, the art, so much care was put into this series, and the story really does hook you in because, you know, the Beauty and the Beast formula is such a classic, and the sequel is just chaotic but in a fun way. It's hard not to like it, okay? So links to Disney Fanatic 2364's channels in the description. Have a fun movie night, but first, since you made it this far, I hope that means you enjoyed the video, so please don't forget to like, subscribe, do the funny little notification thing, maybe follow my other social medias, leave a comment, and I better not catch you dying on me. Goodbye!